You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. Storms coming, so you better start running. You can't control it. My bones out, going for it, going for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I never kissed the rain. Ice runs in my veins. Won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I come to take it all. I take it. I come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storms coming, so you better start running. You can't control it. My bones out, going for it, going for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Passing the song to the highest hitter. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I'll still last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's fact. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
All right, guys, welcome back. Mic check. Yep, mic is on. All right, so December 10th, AMC's annual shareholder meeting will be in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, according to their clock up on the screen there. We should be able to hear the audio. Let me move this a little bit, straighten this nonsense out. That looks a little better there. 2 big days this week for the OG meme stock world. We had GameStop reporting their Q3 earnings. Yesterday, I did drop a recap video with some extra thoughts after I read through the entire 10Q and had time to think about it. That video dropped this morning. So if you're interested in GameStop, you can check that one out, see what I think. You can agree or disagree. Let me know down in the comments. Today, we have the vote for AMC. I forget how many proposals are on there, 6 or 7 or so. Some of them rehashed from last year, the ones that didn't pass. And then the big one, Prop 5, to increase the share count from 550 million to 1.1 billion. And there are some ramifications for AMC and the capital structure, depending on how that vote turns out, yes or no, today. I just put up a poll here in the chat. Let me know if you guys think that that Prop 5 is going to pass or not. I think, yes, it probably will pass. I think that the big institutional holders, including Pentwater, probably held on to their shares just till that magic day in November where they were a shareholder of record and they voted and then they started dumping their shares, which is why the price started going down right after the date of record. I want you to think about that if it passes. Now, if it doesn't pass, either they voted no or I'm just completely full of hot air. I made a big mistake in my analysis, but we'll see. I think that the institutions, the lenders, don't want to contemplate AMC going bankrupt. They want to keep getting their interest payments or their convertible shares, exchangeable shares, what have you, whatever you call it. And so they are incentivized to vote yes, and they get a nice, sweet little deal. I mean, they got a bunch of shares at $1.79 in July, and they're going to get some cheap shares after this vote too. There'll be a VWAP measurement period, probably 21 days. I don't know that I ever found the exact timeline of the VWAP measurement period after the required shareholder approval today, but what did we say? Is Dink in here? Anya? What did I say, Anya? I think they're going to get their shares between $1.50 and $2.75, something like that. $2.25, $1.50 and $2.25. And my other theory, which this is completely theoretical, my other theory is that they will try and drive the price down close to $1.50 to get the optimal exchange rate. Now, will the market allow that? Will the market allow lenders to drive the price down? I don't know. I mean, it's fun to try and guess what is going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen with the price. Dave says, if it is a yes vote, do you see a reverse split coming in the near future? I don't know, Dave. I mean, I can't rule it out. It really depends on box office and what happens to the share price. We do know that if it is a yes vote, that some new shares will immediately go out to the exchangeable note holders from July, the ones that didn't get shares allocated. So some shares will go out. And AMC is precluded or prevented from doing any full ATM for 6 months, 180 days. They have some small exceptions, so they could do an ATM for 25 million shares or $50 million. And if you've been following my opinions about to see if I'm right or wrong, I don't know what I'll be. I think I'll be right. But if you're following my opinions that the cash burn in Q1 is going to be large, you know kind of why I'm worried about cash and liquidity because AMC doesn't really have the ability to do a strong cash raise. They're locked into only 25 million shares for 6 months. So for me, the story of why they sold Hycroft makes perfect sense. You can't sell ATM. You better get some cash in here somehow, some way. Q4 is going to be fine in terms of cash, I think, although we better get this box office up. We're only at 1.4 billion for Q4 and we still only got 21 days left. Come on, Avatar. Hope y'all are going to some movies. I might go see one after this meeting today. But that's a very long answer to your question. Could there be a reverse split? I mean, they can't hardly even sell shares for 6 months, Dave. So I don't know. I'm sure they're hoping to be rescued by Q2 box office. I think all of us think things get much better in Q2, right? Q2 coming up. We just got to survive through Q1. And yes, it is a big unknown. I've done my predictions. I've shared my predictions with you for better or worse. You love it or hate it. We'll find out if I'm correct or not. And if I'm not, you're welcome to come back and laugh at me. I like my odds of being correct. I don't like what I see, but I don't think that I'm being overly pessimistic. It just is what it is. Hito says, why put dilution on a vote? They can just create APE 2, APE 3. I mean, the preferred share solution got them around a problem where shareholders were not going to approve more shares, Hito. It was a Band-Aid around a problem they had, and we're about to test that theory out again. Are shareholders going to prevent them from raising money? If the vote is a no, you could see another use of preferred shares. It's either that or roll the dice on box office or just do an out-of-court restructuring, which would go something like what happened to BYND. So I don't think they want to use preferred shares unless they're backed into a corner. That's just my guess. Pond Prowler says, opinions are like assholes. I know, right? Everybody's got one. $2 p.m. Eastern. All right, yeah, we're on time. 12 minutes. What other questions y'all got? I know there's a lot of people excited about Q4. I think that's fine to be excited about Q4, even though we're still struggling a little bit here, but I still think we could get over 2.2 billion. That's what, 800 million in the next 3 weekends with Avatar, with the other tentpole items that we have out right now. I think that's possible. 2.2. Is 2.2 a great number? No, it's not a great number. I'd like to see it higher than this year. 2.4, I still think there's an outside chance, getting smaller, but still possible. We could see over 2.35. I mean, that's a lot of money. $1 billion in 21 days. It's looking a little bit grim, which is well, we'll see. All the people have been talking smack about me, saying I'm being too negative. I just live in a world of reality, not a world of hopium. Can't be mainlining that hopium shit, man. It's going to make you make some bad decisions. LSX 454 says, what happens in Q2 is a game changer. Let's go snort some Q2 box office. I like that, LSX. Fidget Spinner says, with just 25 million shares available to issue, put this on mute. Hang on, YouTube, don't ban me. Get this music on mute. All right. How can they even get to Q2 2026 on 385 million in cash? Look, I've talked to some people much smarter than me to try and ask that same question, and I think people in my Discord and other smart folks, and I think we all think that they are what I say, how I call it, threading the needle. It's gonna be not easy to get into Q2 and manage that liquidity. They're gonna probably. Everything depends on everything I'm saying depends on Q4 box office and Q1 box office, and largely on Avatar. And you could even add in the X factor. What if there's some unknown they have planned that they're going to spring on us in January? Another Taylor Swift concert, who knows? So everything I'm saying depends on box office, Q4, Q1. But if things stay the way they are right now, it's going to be a very tightrope walk to make it to Q2. By tightrope, I mean you're getting down to bare bones liquidity. They're not going to go bankrupt, I don't think, in Q1. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying they're getting down to scraping the bottom of the barrel on liquidity when you got to pay those bills from Q4 and Q1. In Q1, you pay the bills from all the Avatar and stuff. You get the money in Q4. You got to pay the bills in Q1. Plus, you have a weak Q1 where you're losing money for 3 months. You can see how I'm a little bit worried about it. Hopefully, you can see it and you understand. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be realistic. It's going to be a tap dance. Hito says, do you think it'd be beneficial for AMC to merge with Cinemark? AMC needs to jettison a bunch of non-profitable locations, Hito. There's no merger or someone buying them that is going to fix this problem. They need bigger box office, or they need to dump a bunch of debt or dump a bunch of locations, which is why, for example, I think that if the vote were not approved, they're in a really precarious position because they have no ability to raise cash should they need it. And if I was management, you could do another preferred offering, but I would probably just say, go to the lenders and say, all right, let's sit down around the table. Let's do a beyond. You get the company. We'll keep retail in the play. We'll give them 1/10 of whatever the new capital structure is, but we're going to wipe them out and give you all the new equity. I don't know how you merge with anybody when the company is losing money and box office is not predicted yet to be at 12 million. We got to have more box office. It is imperative. Got to have more box office. UK Days says, could AMC issue warrants like GameStop did? They could once more shares are approved. Right now, they cannot. After the vote, could they? Absolutely. You got to have shares. BW says, why do you think YouTubers are pushing a no vote? Same reason they did in 2022, 2023. They think there's going to be a short squeeze and they don't want more dilution. And I understand both points. I mean, you can have whatever opinion you want, but if you want to understand what is likely to happen if a no vote wins, I want you to look at MMAT, Metamaterials. They were low on liquidity, out of shares. They did a vote to increase the share count. Shareholders voted no. They said, we want a short squeeze. We don't want more dilution. We get it, right? We get it. That's what shareholders said. And 2 months later, the company filed Chapter 11. They're like, fuck you. We don't have a way out of this. And you just cut off our ability to raise cash. We get it. Dilution is not preferable to anybody. But you cut off liquidity, you're cutting off the lifeblood of the company. So, I try and talk to these people, but they, for whatever reason, these same people in 2022, 2023, they think the company's doing fine. That it has plenty of liquidity and there's zero chance of going bankrupt. The share price and the balance sheet and cash flow statement tell you otherwise. You could look at the hundreds of millions of negative free cash flow every year and know that we're on a spiraling down. Hang on, mediocre. I'm doing a live stream. Hang on.
You doing all right?
I'm doing good. I struggled with this.
All right, get out of that Discord. I don't know if he knows that I'm live. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. I get why Data Zero or anybody doesn't want a yes vote to win. I said there's no good outcome here, but there's one outcome for me, which is almost certain out of court restructuring. And that is not going to go well either. It's going to go far worse. Which is why, I'm not in the trade right now. There's risk either way. You also have the option to not be in the trade. I'm not trying to tell you to sell or anything like that. I'm just saying, you have choices. You've always had choices. You can sit there and hold the stock and wait for them to file Chapter 11 or dilute you another 50%. Neither one's a great outcome. Or you could exit the trade till a more opportune time presents itself. I mean, that is up to each person to decide. And the good thing is you get to live by your choices. I'm just sitting on the sideline with dry powder, and when the right moment presents itself, if it presents itself, I'm ready to pile back in. We got about 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and we'll be able to listen in to the meeting and the vote. Fidget Spinner says Pantano's got a 115 price target by month end. I said $1.50 Fidget Spinner. I'm just connecting dots. Looking at the wording in the debt agreements and the VWAP measurement period, and the fact that the lenders get the optimal exchange rate at $1.50, and that's the floor. There's no reason for them to drive it below that. There's no risk of immediate dilution, I don't think, in any large number from AMC. There's going to be, let's say, 100 million shares go out to the lenders. They don't want the price below $1.50 because they don't get any benefit from that. As soon as they get their shares, they lock in their exchange rate, stop shorting it, let it go up, unload those shares over the next 6 months. That's how I am anticipating it to play out. We will see. I don't know. I think at 115 sounds a little bit too bearish to me. Even 150, I mean, the only reason I'm coming up with that number is because it's in the documents and it gives them the best exchange rate. So if they could get away with it, they have every incentive to push the price down to 150, 150. If they can get away with it, if the market will not come in and try and support the stock. If that happens, if we start seeing it move down to $1.50, that's kind of the point, just so you guys know. Discord, we've already been talking about this for the last 6 months. That's kind of the point where I'd like to come in, depending on timing and how far into Q1 we are. Sky Does Things says, how do you like Bull's price action? We are loving Bull over $10. Weeble. Yes, sir. We're loving it. We've been keeping a close eye on that. I hear no music. Here we go. I think they're getting ready. Hito says, if a reverse split occurs, do you think a big one like 100? No, I would not do 100 to 1.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
To the 2025 Annual Shareholder Meeting of AMC Entertainment, being held here in person in our Leawood, Kansas headquarters location, and also being attended by so many additional shareholders given our additional webcast. I am Adam Aaron, Chairman of the Board and CEO of AMC Entertainment Holdings. Before we begin today, I should note that last week we made a fulsome public announcement about the aftermath surrounding my unexpected visit to a hospital emergency room in London on November 17. Since then, I have received so many well wishes from our shareholders, lenders, studios, filmmakers, vendors, reporters in the press, and other constituencies who are interested in AMC. I sincerely, so sincerely, want to thank you all for your gracious and kind words of support. And I might add that my recovery since November 17 has been so fast that I am truly delighted to report to you today that the biggest medical challenge I seem to be facing at the moment is a good old-fashioned common cold picked up in the last 72 hours in Kansas City's frigid, chilly weather. All things considered, pretty ordinary stuff. Joining me for today's meeting, as well, is almost our entire board of directors who are with us on the phone. I'd like to send an extra special salute their way too. Over the past 3 weeks, each of the members of the AMC board has been so genuine and empathetic about my recovery. At the same time, though, they also all were ever so professional in being totally committed to fulfilling their sacred obligations to you, our shareholders, to dispassionately assess whether my medical condition might interfere with my ability to continue to lead AMC. The AMC board deserves high praise for their diligent, skillful, and steady hand, and in carefully managing through what could have been a delicate situation had my condition been of greater alarm. Speaking of which, as you can hear for yourself, common cold sniffles notwithstanding, that while my voice is not 100% back, it's pretty close, and I'm in good shape. And the recovery in my speech has been so much at a blistering fast pace that as a result, it is now my pleasure and honor to formally call to order the annual meeting of our shareholders. At this point, I will hand center stage over to Eddie Gladbach, our general counsel, who will take us through today's business and act as chairman of today's meeting. Eddie, you're on.
Thanks, Adam. An agenda outlining today's business has been circulated prior to the meeting. Kelly Schemenauer, AMC's Vice President, Associate General Counsel, and Assistant Secretary, will serve as Secretary of today's meeting. She's delivered an affidavit of Computershare, the notice agent for the annual meeting, which states that on October 24th, a notice of meeting was mailed to stockholders of record as of the close of business on October 13th, the record date for the meeting. This affidavit will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. Ms. Schemenauer will now discuss the procedures for transacting the business of the meeting.
Good afternoon. The meeting will take place as described in the agenda. A quorum of stockholders is present in person or via proxy. Rules and procedures for the meeting were filed with the SEC on December 3rd and are printed on the back of the agenda. When a proposal is before the meeting for consideration, questions and comments should be limited to that proposal. An opportunity will be provided at a designated time for other questions relevant to the company's business. If you wish to make a statement about a pending proposal, please raise your hand to be recognized. Once you are recognized, we will bring you a microphone and you will state your name and whether you are a stockholder or a proxy holder. If you are a proxy holder, please state the name of the stockholder that granted the proxy. Please keep statements brief and limited to the specific item up for discussion. We may have to interrupt any statement that continues for an unreasonable amount of time. Speakers will be limited to a maximum of 2 minutes. You may not record the proceedings today, and phones or other recording devices are not permitted in the meeting room. Anyone disrupting the orderly conduct of the business or acting in a threatening manner toward fellow stockholders or AMC employees will be asked to leave the premises and, if necessary, escorted out by security personnel. If you have not already submitted your vote and would like to do so during the meeting, you may do so on the ballot provided at check-in. Ballots will be collected at the conclusion of the business items on the agenda. Ballots not received when called for will not be counted. We will announce the preliminary results at the conclusion of the meeting. Final results will be published in an 8-K filing with the SEC.
Thank you, Kelly. The Board of Directors has appointed Jeff Bennett and Kelly Schemenauer to act as inspectors of election for the meeting. They signed an oath to act as inspectors, which will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. The inspectors have the registered list of stockholders as of the record date for determining stockholders eligible to vote today. With the quorum present, I declare the meeting duly and lawfully convened and now declare the polls open. Except for Proposal 1, polls will remain open until all items of business have been presented and discussed and a tabulation of the votes has been completed. The polls will close for Proposal 1 after any questions or comments have been discussed with respect to that proposal. We're aware that there is considerable interest in knowing how many shares have voted for this meeting. Number of shares voted prior to the meeting today is approximately 301 million shares, which is about 59% of our outstanding shares on the record date. That number includes broker discretionary voting on certain items such as ratification of our auditors. For non-routine items on which brokers cannot submit discretionary votes without instructions from the beneficial owner, we only have about 36% participation. We would remind our shareholders that voting is an important opportunity and encourage you to do that in the future. The first item of business is an amendment of the company's certificate of incorporation to declassify the board of directors, shorten all existing terms to expire at this meeting, and remove restrictions on the number of directors. The amendment, along with the reasoning therefore, is set forth in the proxy statements, and the board of directors recommends approval of this proposal. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I declare the polls on this proposal closed, and we'll proceed with the agenda. The next item of business is the election of directors. However, before proceeding, we will determine the outcome of the vote on Proposal 1. Kelly, do you have those results?
Yes. Based on the proxies received prior to the meeting and the number of shares present at the meeting, Proposal 1 has not obtained the support of a majority of the company's outstanding stock and therefore has failed.
Since Proposal 1 has failed, we'll proceed with Proposal 2B to elect Class 2 directors for a term ending at the 2028 annual meeting. As disclosed in the proxy statement, the candidates for director who have been nominated by the board are Adam Aaron, Hawk Koch, and Anthony Sage. Kathleen Paulus, a Class 2 director, is retiring from the board and is not standing for re-election. I'd like to thank me. In accordance with the company's bylaws, stockholders are required to provide advance notice of their intent to nominate candidates for director. No such notice having been properly received, and therefore no additional nominations can be accepted at this time. I declare the nominations for director closed. Are there any questions and comments on the election? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the agenda. The next item of business is an amendment to the company's certificate of incorporation to eliminate the prohibition against stockholders acting by written consent. The amendment, along with the reasoning therefore, is set forth in the proxy statement, and the board recommends voting in favor of this proposal. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will proceed to Proposal 4. Proposal 4 is an amendment to the company's certificate of incorporation to remove the limitation on stockholders' ability to call special meetings. The amendment, along with the reasoning therefore, is set forth in the proxy statement, and the board recommends approval of this proposal. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will proceed to Proposal 5. Proposal 5 is an amendment to the company's certificate of incorporation to increase the total number of authorized shares of common stock. The amendment, along with the reasoning therefore, is set forth in the proxy statement, and the board recommends approval of this proposal. Are there questions or comments on this proposal? We will proceed to Proposal 6. Proposal 6 is a proposal to ratify appointment of Ernst & Young LLP as the company's independent public accounting firm for 2025. I'd like to recognize representatives from Ernst & Young who are with us today, Kim Rock and Andy Gigstead. The board of directors recommends approval of this proposal. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will proceed. Next item of business is to approve compensation of the company's named executive officers. This proposal is a non-binding stockholder advisory vote. The company's executive compensation is discussed in the proxy statement, and the board recommends approval of this proposal. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will move to the final proposal. The final proposal before the meeting is a proposal to adjourn the meeting if necessary to permit further solicitation of proxies in the event there are insufficient votes to adopt the proposals. Board of Directors recommends approval of this proposal. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will now declare the polls closed. If you have not voted or wish to change your vote, you may do so by marking your ballot. Are there any ballots that need to be collected at this time? Seeing none. Oh. Okay, thank you. We've collected the ballots. We'll now briefly recess the meeting. While we are recessed, we'd like to invite Sean Goodman, the company's Executive Vice President, International Operations, Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, and Dan Ellis, the company's Executive Vice President, Chief Operations Development and Marketing Officer, to join Adam to address any questions that stockholders may have relevant to the company's operations or business. We would remind everyone that some of the comments may contain forward-looking statements that are based on management's current expectations. Numerous risks, uncertainties, and other factors may cause actual results to differ materially from those that might be expressed today. Many of the risks and uncertainties are discussed in our public filings, including our most recent 10-K. Several of the factors that will determine the company's future results are beyond the ability of the company to control or predict. In light of the uncertainties inherent in any forward-looking statement, you are cautioned not to place undue reliance in these statements. AMC undertakes no obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events. If you have questions relating to the company, but not to matters already voted on at the meeting, you may raise them now. Only matters that concern all stockholders should be raised. Any matter of individual concern should be raised after the meeting when representatives of the company will respond to your questions. To allow all stockholders an opportunity to participate, each stockholder will be limited to one question along with one follow-up. To ensure questions can be answered, any individual speaker will be limited to a maximum of 2 minutes. Please raise your hand to be recognized, and the microphone will be brought to you. Please begin your question by stating your name and where you're from.
And as we're looking for questions, can I just say it's so nice to see several shareholders joining us today.
Is it on? Hi, Adam. My name's Larry. It's good to see you after 3 years here coming. My question was really, I had questions for you, but I'm not going to ask them. I just rather wish you all happy holidays and a prosperous new year, since it is that time of season. So, and I really love my AMC like tree things. So,
Well,
appreciate it.
All really good. And can I emphasize in your comment that we have a prosperous new year?
Hi, Adam. Hi, board. My name is Corey Seaman. I'm a shareholder. Good to see you again. If we're going to be tight about 2 minutes, I'm going to speed read. I'd rather just speak from the heart, but I want to be.
But speed read loud so I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Glad to see you're doing well from the stroke. Appreciate you giving all that you have to the company. This year, I want to bring up something from my line of work in real estate tax appeals, the fun world of real estate tax appeals. It shows an opportunity to build complementary partners. So, assuming that the newly authorized shares are going to hit the market, I would prefer that we look for partners, and I want to give you an example of what I saw in Missouri recently. We have a AMC Theater in Creve Coeur, and it's on the books for $11 million value, which is a $3.5 million assessment, and it ends up being a $335,000 tax bill. Now, I know we don't own that property, but what happens if we are triple net lease or gross modified, it either pass throughs or gets built into the rent, then we are hitting that expense on our operating expenses. And so, as an example, that one got appealed by the property owner, which is also the manager, and they don't have the same incentive that we do because it gets passed through to us, right? And so in that case, they hired someone that's about to retire, and that person didn't get an appeal because they didn't submit any exhibits, whereas Marcus Theaters, right down the road, did provide exhibits, got a $3 million reduction, ended up getting $100,000 savings on that one property, which is $200,000 over 2 years. And it's just something that I would like us to look into to align our incentives with the people appealing those properties. Side note, I do work for an appeal firm and can help. But what I want us to do is look at other operating expense line items, and we look for ways that we could create revenue, because that, if we took our 430 properties across our portfolio and saved 20% on 25% of those, our tax bill is at least $150 million north of that, right? Most of our properties are in higher value than Missouri. And in any case, that's going to be at least $7.5 million in net revenue for our company. So you have to pay for goods and services, and I'm suggesting with our new shares, we look for ways to bring on partners and pay them where they have the flexibility to pay them in equity and cash rather than just giving it to the lenders or the market makers who previously in 2021 may have sold us $200 shares that they're now recouping for $2. And so now we're building complementary partners. And just to look for that initiative and look at the other operating expenses, we're becoming more efficient, we're building partners. Please take a look at what we can do there.
So let me just respond by saying thank you for the interesting comments. I would tell you that we do have a tax department here, which is hyperactive and challenging property taxes all over the United States and even in other jurisdictions. We're still fighting property tax assessments in Canada that we vacated as a country over a decade ago. So this is not an area that is being ignored by AMC. It's a big opportunity for savings, and we're chasing it as hard as we can.
No, if there are no other questions, we'll reconvene the meeting. I understand that a preliminary report of the Inspector of Election is ready. Kelly, will you please announce the preliminary results of the stockholder votes?
The preliminary report of the Inspectors of Election indicates that Proposal 1 to amend the Certificate of Incorporation to declassify the board has failed. Mr. Aaron, Mr. Koch, and Mr. Sage have been elected as directors. Proposal 3 to amend the Certificate of Incorporation to eliminate the prohibition against stockholders acting by written consent has failed. Proposal 4 to amend the Certificate of Incorporation to remove the limitation on stockholders' ability to call special meetings has failed. Proposal 5 to amend the Certificate of Incorporation to increase the total number of authorized shares of common stock has been approved. Proposal 6 to appoint Ernst & Young LLP as the company's independent public accounting firm for 2025 has been ratified. Proposal 7, the non-binding advisory vote to approve the compensation of the company's named executive officers as disclosed in the proxy statement, has obtained the support of a majority of votes cast. The stockholders have approved Proposal 8 for adjournment of the meeting to a later date, if necessary, to permit further solicitation of proxies for the foregoing proposals. However, adjournment of the meeting was deemed not necessary.
Thank you, Kelly. I hereby request that the final report of the inspectors of election be filed with the minutes of this meeting. With that, Adam, I will turn it over to you to adjourn us.
And I would like to, if I can, just make one comment about the shareholder votes. In essence, in all cases where a majority of votes cast was needed for passage, the shareholders who voted their votes did, in fact, cast a majority of the votes cast. On the other matters that failed, interestingly, also a majority of the votes that were cast were in favor of each of the proposals. But under the Delaware standard for those other matters, it's not the law that we just need a majority of the votes cast. We need a majority of the votes outstanding. And in many cases, not enough shareholders actually voted for us to get a majority of the votes cast, even though majority of the votes outstanding, even though the majority of the votes cast were in favor. So it's just one more reminder to us all as shareholders, next year, vote your votes, because the will of the shareholders is actually being defeated, not because the shareholders are opposed to these measures, but because not enough shareholders are actually taking the time or trouble to vote. With that, we've covered the business of the meeting. Dan, Sean, and I, along with Eddie and Kelly, and our auditors, E&Y, who are there, and Kim, we're going to stick around in case any of you want to talk to us individually after the meeting. And with that, the 2025 meeting of shareholders of AMC Entertainment Holdings is hereby adjourned. Thank you one and all.
Let's get this microphone back on. So what he was trying to explain there at the end, some of these proposals like number 3 and 4 and number 1 needed a majority of all stockholders, 250 million, 225 million plus 1. And that many people didn't vote. So even if the most of the people that voted approved it, if you don't have more than half of all the shareholders, these are not going to pass. Number 5, the one to increase the share count, did not have that kind of hurdle. It was just they needed a majority of people who showed up today to vote. And the people that showed up did vote for that in a majority. So number 5 passed. And I think we kind of thought that it would, as someone said in the comments there. And as I have said before, I think that the institutions that got a ton of shares given to them in July as part of that debt restructuring and lawsuit settlement, some of them probably held on just long enough to vote to their shares. Maybe they're still holding on. I think they sold after they voted, because right after that, the price started going down for 30 days. But now we got this behind us. All we got to worry about now is Q4 box office and Q1 box office. So go see some damn movies. Buy that popcorn pass. Popcorn pass also important to Q1 liquidity. I know you think I'm joking, but imagine, at $29.99 plus tax, call it $30. If they sold 1 million of those, which is a fraction of the Stubs members, That's $30 million more. That is more than they made from selling their Highcroft. Now, I don't know if it's going to be 100,000 that they sell or 1 million. I'm just saying it's a good trick to get some extra liquidity in. Hopefully it goes well. Let's see what comments you guys have. Adam's a couple of y'all saying Adam sounded bad. Yeah, he said he had a cold right now. Plus, he recently had a stroke, which affected his speech. So, Godspeed and good health to him. Hopefully, he gets better soon. Retirement being imminent. Someone saying in the comments that would not surprise me a bit if he retires now that this vote is behind him. What would happen to the stock price if he retires? I don't know. Depends if they have a replacement already in mind, what kind of connections that person has, and what their intentions are to do with the stock. I mean, I know a lot of the people that did not want Prop 5 to pass think AMC is going to rocket if Adam Aron retires because they think he is working against the company. And I just want to throw out, if they bring on a new executive, it could be a cleanup guy. And his job could be to see the company through an out-of-court restructuring, for all we know. Like, be careful what you wish for. I hope that it's not that. I hope that maybe someone like Sean Goodman that knows how to fight and is willing to fight and wants to continue the fight is put in the role. But, who knows? CFOs don't always make good CEOs. So you got to have somebody with connections and personality as the CEO, ideally. So, I have no idea what would happen to the price. I think anybody who's making an assumption that it's going to crash or rocket probably has not thought out the whole world of possibilities of how good or bad it could go. They just focus on one thing that they believe. I like to look at all of the possible outcomes. Therefore, I don't know. Depends on who and how quickly. Auburn Tron says, what do you put on the possibility of another RS? Now that we know the vote to increase the share count has been approved, we know that approximately, let's call it 100 million shares are going to be given to exchangeable note holders. And then AMC is limited for 6 months from doing any full ATM. So there'll be some dilution or potential dilution related to the exchangeable notes. AMC is limited on what they can do to 25 million shares for 6 months. So I don't know that there's any need to immediately do a reverse split. What other plans do they have with the shares? I don't know. How fast are they going to use them? The market will digest what's going to happen to the price based on what they think and when they think the shares will be allocated or when they get reported that they were used. It's in my view, a delicate tap dance to, if I was AMC, I'd be minimizing my use of shares until we're into Q2. If I was in charge, if I could find a way through Q1 without having to sell shares and then let things start to improve in Q2, that would be my strategy. Because you don't want to tank the price. You want to be strategic. Sell into optimism, strength. So that is my hope. I don't know. I do think that whatever they're going to do, Sean and Adam already have it planned out. I think they already know exactly what they are going to do. Subject to updating contingencies based on Q4 and Q1 box office. So just because the share count got increased, doubled, doesn't mean that the price is going to drop like that. It's going to be, the price will move in relation to when any potential dilution is actually announced. And as Mike is saying, they can't sell anything for 6 months. 25 million shares is not going to really move the price that much. That's the most they can sell for 6 months from everything I've read. So be patient. If your intention is to hold, I get it. There's a lot of people that want to be bearish. They just assume the company's going to immediately sell 500 million shares. I don't think that they are purposely trying to crash the price. They're going to, and I hope they are judicious about not issuing shares except as required by the notes that they signed or due to liquidity constraints. Other than that, just hold the line, Adam. Hold the line, Sean. Be patient. Wait until you see the white of their eyes, Adam. 25.25% rate cut. Thank you for that, CJ. Now that we know that the vote passed, just remember there's going to be people talking about how AMC's interest expense is going to go down based on the vote, and it will, for the exchangeable notes, which is like pretty much the smallest portion of the debt. And those notes will likely be exchanged anyways. So it's going to drop to, what was it, Mike? 1%, the exchangeable note interest. But, that's going to be, if they don't exchange the notes, that's going to be a cost savings of $1 million or $2 million, maybe $3 million per quarter. So it's better than a poke in the eye, better than a stick in the eye, as my grandma used to say. It's better than a no vote, which would have increased the rates, but it's not going to be some transformational $20 million decrease in interest rate like some people are going to try and spin it. I'm just keeping it real. I'm not trying to be a wet rag here. I've already run the math. Show me your math if you think I'm wrong. And I think I published that also. Net Casty says, how likely is it the AMC will issue all the shares at once? It would be stupid for them to do that. So I would say not likely. The smart play would be only release them as required by liquidity needs. What do I mean by that? Is there going to be a cash burn in Q1? What's the minimum amount of cash you can live with on the balance sheet to get into Q2? If you see a way to survive into Q2 without selling shares, don't sell shares, Sean. Now, he's always been, in my opinion, very proactive about selling the second he forecasts that he needs cash. He will sell some shares. So could you see before the end of this month a 25 million share ATM? That would follow his pattern. I don't know. I think they've already made up their minds of what they're going to do. So it doesn't matter what I think. We're just along for the ride. Hito says, how did they come up with 515? Why not 1 or 2 billion at once so we can get the debt down to? Because you can't sell 1 billion or 2 billion shares without dropping the price down to 30 cents. Which I get it. I understand why people are worried about a reverse split. If they issue 1 billion shares and you're going to stay at the same market cap, you're talking half the price. I understand why some of y'all are worried about a reverse split, but it's too early for me to comment on that because I would just be speculating. Realm Stable says we need Ellison to buy AMC's debt and company. I know I said that up in the comments earlier. We need Ellison and Saudi Arabia to come in and wipe out the debt. Wipe out 120 million of expense every year, buy out a couple of leases that are losing money, and then Paramount gets Warner Brothers, Discovery. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. Box office, 11 billion, 12 billion. Netflix smashed. And AMC running lean and mean. I mean, we can dream, right? We can dream. Pickled Jim says you said something about they need to wait 6 months. Yes, in the proxy, well, in the debt documents when they did the July restructuring, the lawsuit settlement, it said that there would be a vote, and after the vote, AMC cannot do a full ATM for 6 months, with a couple of minor exceptions. And that the primary exception is they are allowed to do ATM for 25 million shares or $50 million. 25 million shares at $2. So I don't know any way that they get around that. I know a lot of people are worried there's going to be immediate massive dilution. It is written in there to protect the lenders that the company cannot do a full ATM. The lenders don't want the price to crash because right now the VWAP period is going to begin, which I think will be 21 days, where they measure the stock price. And at the end of 21 days, again, I couldn't find the exact number, but that's typical. At the end of 21 days, they will get the exchange rate for the shares that they are owed from July. So where am I going with that? So many things. The reason AMC can't sell shares is the lenders want to protect the shares they're about to be issued in 3 weeks. That is my opinion. That's why that was written into the document. It's not to make you feel better. It's not so that you're not worried about dilution, because most people don't even read these documents, you and me. Most people don't even read them. It is there for the lender's protection because they're about to get 100 million shares. They don't want AMC torpedoing the price. They want to have 6 months at their leisure to unload those shares into a strong Q2, probably. That's what I would do if I was them. Unload them into a strong Q2. I just try and think, like, if I'm a lender, how do I maximize my return? Get a cheap share. I know the price is likely to go up. I know the company can't dilute. Just be patient. Wait for things to get a little better in April, May, and slowly start unloading them. Net Cassidy says, I heard AMC's institutional ownership is over 56%. I mean, that is calculated by looking at the 13 Fs. And yeah, I mean, the share count held by institutions did go up. Remember, Pentwater alone got 48 million shares. That was over 10% of the outstanding shares, right? So the share count held by institutions did go up, but they were given those shares by AMC in exchange for notes that they turned in. So is it bullish? They didn't go out and buy them. I mean, I would tell you that's not a bullish or bearish thing, the number that you're looking at. I know people are spinning it as bullish, but they exchanged notes. They got almost 50 million shares. It got reported on a 13F. So you get a high percentage. I also think that they have already sold all those shares after that 13F was filed. And you'll know that I'm right or wrong when the next 13F is filed. I'm just guessing based on how these lenders have acted in the past with AMC. They get given a bunch of shares in exchange for debt and they immediately sell them. It's not bullish or bearish. It just is what it is. Fidget Spinner says, I think they're going to be in serious trouble here for the next 6 months. How can they get through this with $383 million of cash and $50 million dilution proceeds? Don't forget $24 million from Highcroft. And what are we going to guess from Popcorn Pass? Another $5 million, $10 million? I mean, there is, if they're really lucky, Fidget Spinner, there's a way. And maybe they just tell the lenders, please, pretty please, give us a covenant waiver on the minimum liquidity on the balance sheet just till April. Everybody's pretty sure it's going to get better in Q2. The lenders aren't stupid unless they want to force a bankruptcy. It's in everybody's best interest to work together. But I don't think we're wrong. I don't think we're wrong to recognize that there's going to be a liquidity crunch in Q1. And so I just raised that as a caution flag. It's uncertain for me to, I'm not out there saying we will win. You need to be cautious. Anything could happen in the first 3 months, and let's cross our fingers that it goes well. Let's cross our fingers that it goes well. There were some institutions buying shares, GED, productive, yes. And the institutional ownership did indeed go up, but they weren't all just institutions buying. A large reason that number went up was because of Pentwater. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, watch my 1 or 2 most recent videos where I give you the actual DD. And you can look this stuff up yourself too. Pentwater and Discovery Capital have been lenders to AMC for years. They've gotten shares before and they've dumped them immediately. I'm not just talking some bear smack here. I'm just talking real talk with you because no one else apparently enjoys being honest with you guys. Too scared of losing their followers. I already done lost all mine, so it don't matter to me. Did I address the insurer having to pay for the settlement paid in stocks? No, I'm not sure what that's talking about. Baby UFO says, I'm wondering if they will keep Adam from speaking after his stroke episode. I hope he sees fit to retire and spend time with his family. I mean, good Lord. If he's going to power through a stroke and keep working in this undoubtedly high-stress job, I mean, guys, at some point, ladies and gentlemen, just speaking as a human, enjoy your golden years. I know some people, very type A personality, want to work all the way until their grave. I think you should have some time off before we go meet our maker. Israel says, creditors said, get the share authorization increase approved and we can waiver the cash requirement. I mean, that could be. I don't think that the lenders want bankruptcy, and I don't think AMC does either. So it would be in everybody's best interest to work together, lenders and company, for 3 months to make it into Q2. And if they don't, if the lenders don't work with AMC, then they're being hard asses, and it's not gonna go well. They've shown a lot of leeway and willingness to work with the company over the last 4 years. I don't think that that's going to change just because of this Q1, especially when we know that Q2 is going to be good. Netcasty says, which outcome is better for AMC's future, a Netflix takeover of Warner Brothers or a Paramount takeover? I have not made a video on this yet because the news keeps on flip-flopping every 6 hours, but I am not in favor of Netflix taking over Warner Brothers. Just from a theatrical, I know this whole discussion is merged into a political one now. You should see the comments on my Twitter post. But I'm not looking at it from politics. I don't care about that in terms of, look, Warner Brothers is going to be sold. Now you have a choice. Do you want them to be sold to Paramount, which has a vested interest in theatrical, and Ellison, who has shown support for theatrical, or do you want Warner Brothers sold to Netflix, who's got a long history of wanting to kill theatrical? I don't care what they say now. I don't believe them. So for me, put all politics aside, just a very binary decision. Which of the two parties has been more in support of the theatrical experience and the theatrical window? Hands down, it is Paramount. Therefore, that is who I want to win. My decision matrix is very simple. I know people are making it way more complex than that now. That is a you problem. I'm not worried about all that. But yeah, I've been called, now I'm getting called a Paramount bot, Israeli supporter, a self-loathing American. The amount of political hacks that are bombarding my Twitter post on this topic now is pretty funny. All right, Pond Prowler says he's out. That means it's over, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call it a day. I'm going to spend some time with the wife and maybe go to a movie. We'll see. AMC holding up pretty good right now. I think the market figured that Prop 5 was going to pass, so there we go. Let's look at GameStop here real quick. 22.27, down 3%. Nice little recovery on GameStop. Go watch my video, please, that I put out this morning. Beyond at $1.28. I'm just following that one out of curiosity. Railtown at basically 29 cents. Other movie theaters. Oh, let's look at crypto. Bitcoin 92,000, 93 almost. Gold and silver. Holy, they keep running off my chart. SLV at 54. Let's go. Hope you guys own some silver or a silver mine. Netflix down 3.5%. Warner Brothers up 5%. We should put P-Sky on here too. About $15. All right. Thank you guys. We'll have some more talks about this. If you're watching it on replay, don't feel remiss about leaving me a comment. I always read your guys' comments and helps me tee up what to talk about in next videos or the next live stream. So thank you for your time. Hopefully the vote came out the way you wanted. And if it didn't, I'm sorry. And make your own decisions. Carefully analyze everything. Take care.
We've been waiting for so long. Hedges rain will soon be gone. A green candle up, a red candle down. By the dip, gotta hold our ground. Hedges gains are dead and gone. For the shorts, we're going long. If you doubt it, sit and stare. If you love it, buy a share. A green candle up, a red candle down. By the dip, gotta hold our ground. We've been waiting for so long. Hedges rain will